What is construction planning and scheduling? In this video, I'm going to show you how to be a builder instead of just a broker that makes pretty pictures on paper. A plan is not the same thing as a schedule, and we're going to show you that in this video. So what should you have as a part of your plan? And what makes a great schedule? We're going to cover all that right now. All right, so let me introduce this. I'm always talking to really cool lean leaders throughout the industry, and they're always reminding me, Jay Money, hey, a plan is not the same thing as a schedule, and it's not about scheduling, it's about creating a production system. And so I love that, and every time they remind me, I'm like, yes, I agree with that, yes. A plan is much different than just a schedule. A schedule can just be a lot of activities on a piece of paper, and actually you can have a schedule that nobody uses. But having a plan, and having a plan that's used for production, is huge. So let's talk about these things. Let's start out with the definition of what a plan is. A plan is a detailed proposal for achieving something or doing something. A schedule is the written representation of a plan showing the activities that are required step by step to accomplish it. So it's simply the notes or the visual representation of a plan. But I want you to remember, a schedule may only be one small part of the entire plan. You may have verbal instructions, written instructions, you may have text, you may have visuals, you may have maps as a part of your plan, and the schedule can just be one component part of that overall plan. So scheduling is not everything. And I'm telling you, this is a big deal because I go to projects and I see, hey, they've just got a schedule. Well, where's your basis of schedule? Where's the logistics plan? Where are the zone maps? Where is the risk and opportunity register? There's a lot of other documents. There's a lot of other visuals that make up your plan. It's not just the schedule. And especially if you're using a CPM schedule where you've got 76 pages of schedule that nobody's going to read and they can't read and they can't understand, not only will they not see the plan, but they won't even see the schedule. So we have to be very careful about this. The common misconception is that you can go type out a list of ingredients or a list of steps in your 76-page schedule, throw it out there and say, I've got a plan. That is not a plan. So your plan may include written procedures, steps, processes, general logistical considerations, and like I said, it will always include your schedule. The purpose of that plan and schedule is to produce and produce well, and to create not just a plan and a schedule, but a production system where the system of your project and your plan can actually produce according to your customer's voice, their needs, and their wants on time with the right throughput, at the right level of quality, at the shortest overall total project duration, with the highest level of quality, with the lowest overall total project cost. And so that's the goal. And I'll remind you, like I've done before, plans are worthless, but planning is everything. Hal Maycomer taught me that, and I've been grateful ever since, because the act of planning does a couple of key things which I want to talk to you about now. So you plan and schedule for three main reasons, and I think this is going to blow your mind because it's not talked about very often. So number one, you plan that project and you create that production system to learn the actual project. Yes, that's number one. We need the project team to learn and understand the project, to understand the contract, the drawings, the specifications, how it's going to be built, how the trades are bought out, and how their scopes are separated and integrated together, right? What is the overall timeline? What's the approach? How are we going to stage the logistics? Planning is everything. That's why that quote says, plans are useless, but planning is everything. What that means is that if you get that collective understanding within the team of how we're going to build the project, and everyone can see it together, they can know it together, and they can act on it together, that's everything. But a plan is a frozen part of that plan in time. And the reason that that quote says that it's useless is because a plan frozen in time is useless. That plan needs to be updated and iterated throughout the project in order for it to be useless. It is a living document. So planning really is everything. And the first reason we do planning, the first reason we create production plans, is so that you and the team can learn the project. So you cannot skip that important part. Because when people write it down on paper through their mind and through that learning, they're better able to execute in the field. Number 2, the reason you do planning is to get everyone on the same page. And I will say visual planning, meaning it can't just be in somebody's head. It's got to be out and on the walls for everyone to see. You will get that team heading in the same direction. There's a common concept in some of the best business books and literature and training in the industry, which basically says if the construction leaders, or the leaders of any business for that matter, can explain the what, here's the vision, here's where we're going, this is what we're attempting to accomplish, then everybody with their collective wisdom can head in that direction. And so when you create a plan and a production plan with a proper schedule that everyone can see, then everyone knows where they're heading. And that goes back to one of the 8 wastes, which is not using the genius of the team. If we don't have a visual plan and people don't know where they're going, then they can't head there. They can't figure out the how. But when they can figure out the how, that's when the entire team is using their brains and figuring out that how and actually leveraging the wisdom of the group. That's when you're making progress. So the second reason for your visual planning, or for your planning in general, is to get everybody understanding how do they fit as a part of this team? What can they do? And we can leverage the wisdom, the motivation, and the ingenuity of everybody on that team. And number 3, the reason for planning is to get the plans right. Let me talk about this a little bit in detail. Like I've said in other videos, you are going to create your plan in pre-construction. You're going to do it with the builders. You're going to do it with your trade partners if you possibly can, right? Early trade partners with Design Assist. And you're going to make a plan with the builders that really is hopefully the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th iteration of that plan, because you're constantly reviewing it and updating it. At the end of that effort, you will have a fresh eyes meeting or a risk review meeting to verify that it's correct. But one of the key things that you will do is every risk, every anchor that you understand, meaning overruns from previous projects, anchors that you've used from previous projects, everything that you understand from an anchoring or a risk standpoint either needs to be planned around or added to your contingency or absorbed as a part of your fee, meaning that you could experience fee loss. We don't want that one, so we either have to cover it with contingency or plan to make sure that it doesn't happen. And so that means you're going to need to have plan A, B, C, D, which means, hey, if this thing happens, I will do this. Hey, if this happens, I will do this. So as a part of your fresh eyes meeting and your risk review meeting, you will make sure that you have contingency plans. Because like I said, plans are worthless, but planning is everything. Your plans cease to become worthless when you have other options and you can iterate and adjust in the field. Just like we adjust in these videos. Like when you say, hey, Jay Money, here's some feedback, here's something that I think I would like as a part of a video, you put that in the comments below, we adjust, we're iterating as we go, right? I had a plan, but I adjust it based on the feedback you give me in the comments. So please keep those comments coming. I respond to them myself and I love to hear them. So now I'm going to give you the 8 key things that every plan should have in order for it to become potentially a production plan. So number 1, you will have your tact plan as your master schedule. This is your schedule that shows the overall strategy for the entire project from the beginning to the end. Number 2, you'll have your CPM summary if needed at the highest possible level, which allows you to comply with any contract provisions requiring CPM. Number 3, you will have your tact zone maps so that trades know the zones and how they're going to progress through the project in a visual format. Number 4, you will have your logistics plans, and I will link you in the description below to another video about logistics planning, which shows you that you will have 6 key phases to those logistics plans. Your logistics plans will always be a part of your overall plan and schedule. 5, your basis of schedule, which will explain in a narrative format in words some of the context surrounding your production plan. So you might find things in there like start times and end times and overall strategies, or other rules and restrictions from the AHJ, agreements that you have made with your trade partners as a part of that plan. Basically, this is a narrative. Your basis of schedule is a narrative explaining the context surrounding your production plan. I highly recommend every project have one. Number 6, your trailer design so that you have the right visuals to communicate your plan and to adjust your plan with the last planners through the last planner system in a collaborative visual environment. Number 7, your org chart showing what each person is accountable for as a part of the team so that everybody can interact with the plan according to their right roles and responsibilities. And be accountable for the key part of that plan. And number 8, the risk and opportunity register, which will show you your risks and your opportunities and will allow you as a team to track them throughout so that you're constantly optimizing and improving your chances of success with your plan. This is it. Every project, this is the minimum standard. And I want you to remember, plans are useless, but planning is everything. And planning has got to happen before we put that shovel in the ground, because projects do not go wrong, they start wrong. You are a master planner. You create production plans. You are a master at scheduling as a part of that planning. You are a master builder. This is how it's done. Planning is the #1 skill of any construction manager. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.